The Queen of Storms has returned to her throne. Find out what's going on as I hereby invite everyone to join me on my adventures through Marvel Snap. Hey everybody, it's Annabelle. So we got a brand new patch. It's out, it's live, it's currently up and running. And then this time around we've got 6 nerfs, 6 buffs, and 1 simple text update. And the first one that we're going to talk about is Storm. Storm is back, baby. She has been changed from a 4-5 to a 3-2. She works exactly the same, except for now, her flooded location, or flooding location, I should say, will no longer work with Legion. So they were able to get her changed, were able to get her buff, so that now her actual first stage no longer will hit the Legion. So what will happen now is the Storm will set it up, and if the Legion comes down, the other 2 locations will show as being flooding, but will never turn to flooded. Since Storm will be the one who's setting the trigger. Really great change. Love this change. I think when Storm got changed up to 4, everybody was upset. This is a change that everybody's been fighting for. This is a great change for newer players because this is another location manipulation for early game cards, because this is a free card that everybody owns. Next card that we have that got buffed here is Toxidoxy. Don't know whose bingo card this was on, but Toxidoxy got changed from a 2-1 to a 2-3. Works exactly the same. Will still hit 2 characters in your hand. Those 2 characters can't be played next turn. They still get +2 power. It really shows a lot about how bad Toxidoxy was, that they actually gave her +2 to her power instead of even +1 to her power. I'm not sure this is going to have her see a ton more play, but just the fact that she got +2 power is going to make a few people want to try her out. Next up, we've got Annihilus. Annihilus got changed from a 5-7 to a 5-8. Kind of interesting that this has gone through as many changes as it's gone through. We'll see a little bit more play with the Disrupt Clog. It's always nice when you can see that Marvel Snap is okay to let Clog have a little bit more power showing around. I don't think it's enough to really make Clog the end-all be-all deck that it used to be, but any point on Annihilus makes it a little bit more dangerous. Next up, we've got Electro. Electro went from a 3-3 to a 3-4. This is a weird one that kind of doesn't make sense, kind of does make sense. The whole point of Electro is he's supposed to be low stats, because it gets you that power boost, and I'm not sure 3-4 really does that much to him, because what you're trying to do in a lot of situations is destroy the Electro. I mean, it is going to be kind of interesting if you are going for the War Machine version of this to have that 1 extra point of power. But for a lot of situations, this is the weirdest buff that you could have had to happen to a card. Next up, we've got a really interesting one. Cerebro. Cerebro changed from a 2-0 to a 3-0. Now, while on most days and most effects this wouldn't mean anything because nobody plays Cerebro for pretty much all intents and purposes, the one deck that Cerebro usually falls into at some point in its life is a Brood deck or a Silver Surfer deck of some sort. And with this being a 3-drop, it now means that if you play this into anything Silver Surfer related, this will get the buff off the Silver Surfer, which is nice to know. Now let's start talking about the nerfs. First nerf that we are going to talk about is going to be Strange Supreme. Strange Supreme got taken down from a 2-2 to a 2-1. Everything else works exactly the same. My concern is that this doesn't take enough off the Strange Supreme. They might change his Absorb from being +2 power to +1 power. Not sure this is going to really knock a lot out of the Strange Supreme, because Strange Supreme isn't winning by 1 point. He's winning by 10 points. He's winning by 15 points. Next up, we have the Captain Falcon, also known as Sam Wilson, Captain America. And it's not him that's getting a change, it's the shield that's getting a change. Change on the shield is going from a 0-1 to a 0-0. Same problem that I see with Doctor Strange, or Strange Supreme, I should say. If this doesn't stop the Sam Wilson, which, by the way, I don't think this will stop the Sam Wilson, they're going to change it so that his shield now gets +1 instead of +2. Really shocked, amazed, surprised they haven't changed the shield yet to be considered not a created card, so it doesn't get the buff from Strange Supreme. That's part of the reasoning. They said that they changed it to the 0. I'm not sure. Again, it's one of those things where it's like Captain Falcon's not winning by 1 point. And eating the shield still gets your Strange Supreme +2 power instead of +3 power, because it would have had the +1 for the shield. Next nerf that we have on our docket is going to be the Time Stone from Thanos. The Time Stone has gone from being a 1-1 to being a 1-1, which sounds like it's exactly the same. But this card will no longer draw you a card. When you watch the Gauntlet, if you did watch the Gauntlet, you would have seen that Thanos was a big contributor for decks that won, decks that showed up, decks that played. And anytime you can remove draw from one of Thanos' cards, it makes Thanos a little bit more awkward to play. Next one that they might change is they might change the Mind Stone to drawing 1 stone again. He's just still has to be looked at, and it's not even the Thanos himself, it's all the other stuff that Thanos gets to play with, mess with. Next up we have Hazmat. Hazmat got changed from a 2-2 to a 3-3. Interesting nerf to Hazmat because she's now on 3. Luke Cage is now on 3. Cerebro's now at 3. Silver Surfer's on 3. It's making this really interesting 3 deck again. Next one we have up on our list is the Sauron. Sauron got changed. Sauron got changed from being a 2-2 to a 1-3. Kind of upset about this one. Sauron, in addition to going from 2-2 to a 1-3, now only affects the cards in your deck, not the cards in your hand. And the only deck that it really worked in was the Infinite deck, and the whole reason that worked is because of the fact that it could kind of hit your Ebony Maw in there. And now if you have your Ebony Maw anywhere before you play the Sauron down, that Ebony Maw still doesn't help you out in any way, shape, or form. And that was kind of the only deck that it existed in. The other problem is now it's a big hit, cannon fodder, whatever you want to say, to the Killmongers that wander around, and a lot of people do play the Killmongers just because of the Thanoses that exist. Next up, we've got the Makari. Makari went from a 3-4 to a 3-3. Pretty much the same exact thing with Makari. it's shaving off 1 point for her. She never really got hard cast. Maybe if there was some way you can make it so that if she got hard cast, she got another point of power. That'd be interesting. Not sure how you would do that. But it's just a free card. You lose the draw, but you get the ability of having it. And last card that I somehow forgot to talk about because I almost forgot it existed is Hercules. Hercules got changed from a 3/5 to a 3/5, which sounds exactly the same. Because it basically is exactly the same, except now it does not affect your opponent's cards, it only affects your cards. So, while this is a kind of a buff, kind of a nerf, it kind of really doesn't matter, because as long as Hercules has the random of whether it's going to go right or left, you're never going to be able to control what Hercules does. And I barely ever thought it used as a defensive card. I barely saw anybody ever punch it into something, because even if you punch it in for the Scream version of it, Scream's going to get 1 buff, not 2, because that's how Scream works. So all in all, I don't think this is moving the meter on the Hercules. And last but not least, not really a buff, not really a nerf, but Kahori had a small text change. Kahori had the text change done on her, where she now says, instead of each card in your hand gives one of your cards in play plus 1 power, it says each card in your hand gives one of your other cards plus 1 power. Small, quick text change just to show you that it never was supposed to work on Kahori. So those are all the buffs, nerfs, and text changes that have happened in the latest OTA. I want to thank you all so much for watching, and as always, remember, play for fun.